All right, Atomic Blonde has to be one of the most cinematic movies. I mean, just look at these looks, and especially in grading too, I feel like they just had a lot of fun. The look that we're gonna be creating right now is gonna be this guy right here, and it's really interesting because this is borderline monochromatic, right? And it just looks so cool, and there's a way to get there, and I'm going to show you what that is, and that's the most efficient way. I'm sure there's tons of different ways to get there, but I'm going to show you the most efficient way and easiest way to achieve something like this. So first of all, we're just going to start off doing our same thing. Like, we're going to do our contrast. I'm going to start adding some contrast and hold it somewhere around here. I'm gonna raise my mids just to get some information, because just look at, there's a lot of lower mid information in there. And then I'm gonna do more contrast just to create like a nice roll offs and the highlights and the shadows. And then I'm gonna bring my gain down. I'm gonna lift my gamma, bring my gain down, play that game a little bit. And then I'm gonna bring my gain down again, lift my gamma, see what's happening here, and I'm gonna try to match what's happening here. So look at the reds on this, where the reds are green and then blues are lifted. So I'm gonna try to do the same thing. I'm gonna bring my reds down. I'm gonna bring my so somewhere around here for now, that's okay. This could be my base. That's okay. Now I'm moving on, and this is where the magic is going to start happening. I'm going to go in under my hue versus hue, and look what I'm doing. I'm going to start switching these colors. I'm going to grab this. Basically, what I'm doing is turning that into a similar deal, like a monochromatic thing, which now we are there. Honestly, I like this more for this horror stuff. Like, look at this. I feel like this is even cooler, but because we're going for that, we're gonna go for it, and we're gonna get there in the most efficient way possible. I'm gonna create another node, and now I'm gonna start introducing the blues in the midtones. So I'm gonna start with my gamma and kind of push it, start bringing that color in, and I'm gonna bring over my scopes to see how we're looking, and it looks like we're looking pretty good. And then I'm gonna use my gain, because you see there's a little green happening here, so I'm gonna use my gain to give me that. And then I'm gonna keep using my midtones to give me that blue. And I think we might be there. I'm just gonna use my gain to give me that green again. And then I'm gonna take my gamma and push it more. And I'm gonna make it bigger to see where we are. So this is looking really good. Now we just need to do some more contrast. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna punch my contrast quite a bit. And I'm gonna bring my highlights down, and I'm gonna bring my gamma up. Highlights down. gamma up. And then I'm just gonna park it somewhere around here and let's just observe it. So let's look at the right here, the graph too, and like where we are, just the scopes, and like we're looking really good. And this is the last node with contrast, and I feel like we can just crank the contrast a little bit more, but overall I think we're there. So this is where we started, and this is where we are, and we were able to add that little green thing that's happening here in our highlights, and then we were able to push our blues where the blues are living there. And simple, huh? And then you can add grain and you can do all that other fancy stuff if you want to, but our look is pretty much dialed in. And then one thing that I would like to do here is this light right there is gotta go. So it's a pretty simple fix. I mean, you can just literally grab this guy, put it right over there, go under hue versus saturation. I'm gonna grab green and I'm just gonna go boom. Color is gone, and now we don't have to worry about it. So that can take care of that, and that's it. All right, moving on to our next shot, this guy, and we're gonna be creating this look this time, switching it up, having fun with it. So let's go. I'm gonna start off with contrast and start adding some contrast, and I'm gonna raise my lifts up a little bit and give it more contrast, and raise my lift, and then I'm gonna start raising my gamma a little bit. I'm gonna bring my gain down, lift my gamma up, bring my lift down, gamma up, more contrast. So let's just park it somewhere around here for now. And the thing is, we can adjust to always do the global adjustment and fix the contrast there too. So for now, I'm gonna park it here and maybe raise my mids a little bit more and give it a bit more contrast, because this is pretty contrasty. So anyways, now we got that. Let's do the same thing, create a new node, and we're gonna go under hue versus hue, and we're gonna start messing with these and see where we can get them. So I'm trying to get this cyan on this side, and let's just say for now it's that. So we're almost there. Then I'm going to take my blue and move it until we hit that green. So let's go there, and then what we want to do is go under hue versus saturation, and then take the blue and bring it down. And then I want to go back in hue versus hue and bring that down. So that's sort of our base. I mean, we're still not there, but we can build on that. And now I'm going to create another serial, and here I'm just going to start pulling back on that green. So that's helping, you know. I'm going to leave it somewhere around there. And now I'm gonna go into my lift and gamma, and I'm gonna start playing around with these. So I'm gonna bring my gamma up. All right. I'm gonna just go easy on the saturation too, and maybe that's gonna help with a few things. And then I'm gonna go under hue versus saturation and pull my reds down. And almost try hue versus hue on the reds and see if we can dial in some other colors, fun colors. So I'm gonna go back here and see what I can do to get my cyan in the right place. I'm still not where I need to be, but that's okay. I'm just gonna work on the contrast right now. And I'm gonna park it right here and just give it more contrast. So one thing that's happening in my shot that's not happening in this shot is that I was using fog, and there's fog in the air, so I can't completely kill it. I can just be mindful, but I can't really just totally get rid of it. Ultimately, if we look at all the colors, I mean, we got a lot of the stuff that is happening here over here. We really do. And even the cyan is here It's the one thing that I can try now is just I'm gonna go under my color boost and try to pull it back. Actually, almost the opposite needed to happen. And maybe that's a bit much, so I'm gonna do that. So, I mean, from where we started to where we ended up, look at, so there is that cyan is happening. It's like a blend of this. I think it's pretty nuts. How far we were able to come. And then what I want to do is I'm just going to add glow, not for beauty purposes, but just to soften up the hair a little bit, because since we're doing so much, I wanted to soften this hair. Let me just add this right here. So I mean, come on, like, just look at this. Like, it just literally feels like it belongs in the same world. Let's just scroll through them. So I'm gonna go through this mode. Like, go through this. So I'm pretty happy with that. So these are two completely looks under the same lighting setup. So you saw this and that is the same lighting setup, and we were able to create this here and this there. Totally different looks that were shot in the same area, same lighting setup, and we were able to create completely different looks, and that's just the power of color grading. And let's move on to our last shot. And now that's going to be a pretty fun look too, and I'm going to go ahead and turn my blanking off. and then bring in our last image. Now that's a very interesting look, and there's going to be a couple of things that are going to happen, but let's just start with our contrast and bring it down quite a bit. I'm going to raise my gamma to just give some I'm gonna keep my blacks down, but I'm gonna bring my gamma up again, and I'm gonna give it some contrast just to start creating that sort of shape. I'm gonna bring my gain down. I think contrast is fine. I'm gonna lift my gamma up. I'm gonna bring my lift down, and I'm gonna park it there. That's fine. But what I will do is this. So look at where the green is, where the red is, where the blue is. So let's just try to match that. I mean, this whole thing to me is a little bit on the green side, because if you look right here to here and just her face, all of that. So we're gonna try to keep it there, and then we're just gonna create a new layer. And now what I want to do is I want to grab the highlighted parts, the brightest parts. So I'm just gonna go and grab the brightest area, and I'm just gonna raise it. And then we'll see what's happening here. And I'm gonna try to, I'm giving it that green right there, so that's helping. And now what we want to do is create a new node, and here a lot of magic might happen. So I'm gonna go under my custom curves. I'm just gonna take my blue and I'm gonna bring it down. Not too much, because what I really need to bring down is my red. Watch. This is where we start getting rid of like all these colors that we got in here. And then we'll take the magenta and just give it a little bit. And then I can go back in this layer and keep making the blue that blue. And then what we can do is I want to go in here and I want to try experiment with these two, Luma versus Sat, and then we're going to try Sat versus Sat. So Luma versus Sat, let's just start right here and see what happens, and then bring it up. Okay, so this is kind of cool because we got this green cast going on the entire image, and it's taking all of that out. But let's try sat versus sat. Alright, so I like that and I'm using it. It's just taking somewhat of the color out of the shadows, but then leaving everything else intact. And then I'm going to create another layer and I'm just going to add more contrast. And I'm going to take my blacks and I'm going to bring them down. And then I'm also seeing so right there we were able to get the blacks pretty close to 0. And then I want to take my gamma kind of park it somewhere around there. And then ultimately what I want to do is create a vignette around her. So it's just going to be a simple one of these, and we're just going to twist it like that, and then let's add a lot of feathering, and then we're just going to chain this up and go. And now that's should be giving us that contrast. If I bring this up next to it, so we're capturing the essence. That was literally the theme. So if you look at the darks are looking very close to where the darks are here. If you look at the whites, like right there is very close to the white here. And then she has information in the midtones and we have information in the midtones, and we even brought the skin back because it's super pink, and then we're just bringing it back to where it's pretty decent. So that was our last look. Started right here and ended up here. I think we did pretty good. And that was the last look from Atomic Blonde. Now we're gonna move on to some old school Hollywood looks.